Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Path to DevOps series. I'm Shiki and today we're reaching the pinnacle of our infrastructure as code journey because today we're going to do a one-click deployment. Basically, we're going to deploy the full infrastructure with one click and then link the pipelines which will deploy the microservices into the newly deployed infrastructure and have our application running in just a matter of minutes. If this sounds fun, let's jump straight into it. In the spirit of time management, I've already deployed the full infrastructure using the PowerShell script which deploys layer by layer, which is this one right here, and we talked about it in the previous videos. So now everything is up and running and waiting for our microservices to be deployed into the infrastructure. I only want to mention that I made a small change to the infrastructure at the environment layer in main.tf. As you can see here, I created an A record called FE for frontend, which basically sets the public IP address that we're creating as this record right here. And this basically will point to our frontend application, which we're going to deploy to our cluster now. This was the missing piece, which I omitted in the previous videos, and I want to show you now that I've added it. Now, with this missing piece in place, we should be able to deploy our microservices using the pipelines that we already have. Moving into Azure DevOps, as long as you didn't change your subscription that you're deploying to or your AKS cluster name, the existing deployment pipelines should deploy into your newly created Kubernetes cluster via infrastructure as code. But if you change those, you either need to update your service connection to point to the new subscription or just edit the pipelines and set the new AKS cluster details. That's fairly simple. Now, in my case, I actually made a different change, which was I purchased a different domain. Right now, I'm no longer working on the barbart.ro domain. So I will need to make a short adjustment in the Helm chart. Basically, this one right here, in the host side, I need to change from fe.barbart.ro to something different. And I've already done that in this branch here called feature adding ingress, which now is fe.dev.barbart.shiki.ro, and this is the right DNS host that I want to be pointing to. So now that this is updated, I'm going to trigger my pipelines from the front-end application using this version of the Helm chart, and hopefully all our 3 microservices will reach the AKS cluster and be functional. So we recently finished running the pipelines and now our applications should be deployed in our Kubernetes cluster, and spoilers, as you can see, the website is live at the desired host name with a valid certificate, which gives us a secure connection. I've made a small change, which was to remove the basic authentication. If you guys remember from the ingress object episode, when we deployed the ingress object, we actually set up a basic authentication on the website, username and password. I removed that because I didn't want to spend time configuring it right now. So we just have the basic ingress. If you hit this website, you're gonna get the page. Now, if you try this while watching the video, don't worry, I've taken the website and the domain down, so you won't be able to. But right now it's available for me as I'm shooting this video, and it should be available if you follow the steps in this series. But yeah, that's basically it. We now have our functional application and we deployed everything using automation. No manual steps in between. Just to sum things up for you guys, about more than a year ago when I started this series, I started with presenting you 3 microservices that I worked on with some friends, and they were nothing special. But throughout this journey, we've taken those 3 microservices, we containerized them using Docker, we then put them into Kubernetes, we learned about Kubernetes because there are videos on this topic on this channel, and basically we reached a point where we have that level of automation where we can press just one button or run a few commands and we're going to get our infrastructure deployed to the cloud. And we also have pipelines which take our application, compile the code and deploy it to the infrastructure that we've just created. And that's the pinnacle of automation in my opinion. Obviously there's still a long journey to go ahead. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue this series, to be honest, because it's quite time consuming, but in case I will, in the future we're going to see a lot of more interesting things. Now, thank you for watching, and to be fair, in my opinion, if you reach this level of automation and you understand all the moving pieces that we've built into the system, you're qualified to be a DevOps engineer. Not a senior one, not a system designer or an architect or anything like that, but at least to get started with DevOps and get a taste of how these technologies interact with one another and how you can go through the software development lifecycle and then continue it using DevOps. Thanks for being along with me on this journey, and I hope it was useful for you to learn everything you needed regarding your job. I salute you. Have a good day. Cheers.